The repair job took Ho 14 hours. His hands were burned from plasma leaks. His back hurt from crawling through tight spaces, but he had done it. The Baron's personal shuttle was now working perfectly. Ho stood in the Great Hall of Trade Station 7, waiting for his payment. Around him, dozens of watched with cold eyes. They were tall beings with silver skin and 4 arms. They moved with grace and looked down at other species like they were insects. Baron sat on a raised platform at the end of the hall. He was larger than the other, dressed in flowing robes made of some material that seemed to shift colors. His 4 arms rested on his throne, and his pale eyes studied Ho with a mix of curiosity and disgust. "The human actually did it," the Baron said. His voice echoed through the hall. "My own engineers failed 3 times, yet this small creature from a death world fixed my shuttle in 1 day." Ho kept his face calm. He had learned long ago that showing emotion around was dangerous. They saw it as weakness. "I am glad I could help, Baron," Ho said with a small bow. "If you could arrange the payment we agreed upon, I will leave you in peace." The Baron's thin lips curved into a smile. It was not a kind smile. The in the court began to whisper to each other, and some of them laughed softly. "Payment," the Baron repeated. "Yes, you have earned something special, human, something no amount of credits could buy." Ho felt his stomach tighten. This was not good. "I have decided to give you a gift," the Baron continued. "A great honor. I am giving you my daughter." The hall exploded with laughter, clutched their sides and slapped their 4 hands together. Some pointed at Ho and made mocking sounds. Ho did not understand the joke. He watched as 2 servants pushed a hoverchair into the hall. In the chair sat a young female. She was smaller than the others, with darker silver skin and large eyes that stared at nothing. She did not move, not her arms, not her head. Only her chest rose and fell with each breath. "This is Na," the Baron announced with false pride. "My firstborn daughter. She came into this world broken. Her body does not work. She cannot walk, cannot feed herself, cannot do anything useful. For 20 years she has been a burden on my house." The laughter grew louder. Ho looked at the young woman in the chair. Her face showed no expression but her eyes. There was something in her eyes that spoke of deep pain carefully hidden away. "She is perfect for a human," the Baron said. "You are both equally worthless in the grand design of things. Take her. She is yours now. Consider it your payment." This was the worst insult it could give. To give someone your defective child meant you thought they deserved nothing better. It meant you saw them as garbage fit only for garbage. Every eye in the hall watched Ho, waiting for his reaction. They wanted him to get angry. They wanted him to refuse and cause a diplomatic incident. They wanted entertainment. Ho walked forward slowly. He approached the hoverchair and looked at Nud directly. Her eyes shifted to meet his, and for a moment something flickered there. Surprise, perhaps, or confusion. He bowed to her. Not a small bow like he had given the Baron. A full, respectful bow like he would give to an honored person. "It is nice to meet you, Na," he said in a gentle voice. "My name is Ho. I hope we can be friends." The laughter in the hall stopped. This was not the reaction they expected. Ho took hold of the hoverchair's handles. "With your permission, Baron, I will take my leave now. Thank you for this generous gift." The Baron's smile faded. He had wanted Ho to suffer, to feel small and humiliated. Instead, the human had accepted his daughter with dignity and respect. It made the Baron look cruel rather than clever. "Go," the Baron said coldly, "and never return to my court." Ho pushed the hoverchair out of the great hall. He walked calmly through the corridors of the station, ignoring the looks from passing. Only when they reached the docking bay where his ship waited did he speak. "Are you hungry? I have food on my ship. It is not food, but I can try to make something you might like." Nuh was quiet for a long moment. Then her voice came out, soft and rough from lack of use. "You should not have accepted me." Ho stopped walking. "Why not?" My father will make your life difficult now. You were supposed to refuse. You were supposed to be angry. Her words came slowly, like someone remembering how to speak. By accepting with grace, you made him look foolish. He will not forget that. I do not care what your father thinks, Ho said simply. Are you hungry or not? Another long pause. Yes, I am hungry. The servants often forget to feed me. Ho felt a cold anger rise in his chest, but he kept it out of his voice. Well, that will not happen anymore. What do you like to eat? I do not know. I have only ever eaten nutrient paste. Then tonight we try something new, Ho said. He continued pushing her toward his ship. Have you ever had Korean food? My grandmother taught me to cook before I left Earth. What is Korean food? It is food from a place on my home world. Lots of rice and vegetables. Some of it is spicy. We will start with something mild. His ship was small and old, but Ho kept it clean and organized. He guided the hoverchair up the ramp and into the living area. It was cramped compared to the Baron's great hall, but it was warm and filled with personal items. Photos on the walls. A small plant in the corner. Books stacked on a shelf. It is small, Na said. It is home, Ho replied. He moved to the small kitchen and began preparing food. As he cooked, he noticed Na's eyes moving around the room. She looked at his engineering screens, where complex data streams flowed across multiple monitors. He watched her eyes track the information with surprising speed. You can read engineering data, he asked. I can read many things, she said quietly. There is nothing else to do when your body does not work. Ho brought her a bowl of rice with vegetables and carefully fed her small bites. She ate slowly, her eyes widening at the new tastes. This is good, she whispered. I am glad you like it. After she finished eating, Ho set up a sleeping area for her and made sure she was comfortable. Then he returned to his engineering screens to review the next job offer. Your calculations are wrong. He turned to look at Na. What? The third screen. Your power distribution calculations. You made 3 errors in the conversion formulas. Ho walked back to the screen and looked carefully. She was right. 3 small errors that would have caused big problems later. How did you see that? He asked. You looked at the screen for maybe 10 seconds. Na's eyes met his. For the first time, he saw something other than pain in them. He saw intelligence. Sharp, powerful intelligence that had been ignored and wasted for 20 years. I see everything, she said. I remember everything. When your body does not work, your mind has nothing to do but grow. Ho pulled a chair next to her hover chair and sat down. He looked at this woman whom her own father had thrown away like trash. Tell me more, he said. And for the first time in many years, someone actually wanted to listen to what Na had to say. 3 weeks passed on the small ship called the Steady Hand. In that time, Ho learned that Na was not just smart. She was something far beyond that. She could look at a page of text for 2 seconds and remember every word. She could hear a conversation once and repeat it back perfectly years later. Her mind could hold thousands of calculations at the same time, working through problems faster than most computers. How is this possible? Ho asked one evening as Na guided him through a complex engine repair. She had spotted the problem in seconds. It would have taken him days to find it on his own. My body stopped working when I was very young, Na explained. Her voice was stronger now, more confident from daily use. The doctors said my brain was damaged too. They were wrong. My brain was not damaged. It was just redirected. Redirected. All the parts of my brain that should control my arms and legs had nothing to do, so they found other work. They joined the parts that think and remember. My mind grew in ways that normal minds do not. Ho sat back and looked at her with wonder, and no one ever noticed. A bitter smile crossed Na's face. No one ever asked. In culture, the body is everything. If your body is broken, they assume your mind is broken too. Why would anyone test the intelligence of a creature they consider already dead? That is the thing I have ever heard. That is my people, Na said. We are very beautiful and very foolish. Ho laughed. It was the first joke she had made, and it surprised them both. After a moment, Na laughed too. It was a small sound, rough and unused, but it was real. Over the following days, Ho built something for her. He worked late into the night, using spare parts and clever engineering. When he finished, he attached a small device to her hover chair. What is this? Na asked. Watch, Ho pointed to a screen nearby. Look at the screen and focus on the red button. Na looked. After a moment, the red button on the screen clicked. The device tracks your eye movements, Ho explained. It can tell what you are looking at and what you want to select. With this, you can control the ship systems. You can type messages. You can do anything that requires just looking and thinking. Na was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was thick with emotion. No one has ever made anything for me before. Well, I need a good partner, Ho said lightly. And you are the person I have ever met. It would be a waste not to use that brain of yours. With her new interface, Na became a true partner in Ho's work. She could now access his engineering files directly, study problems, and communicate solutions. They developed a working rhythm that made them incredibly efficient. Ho would take the physical jobs. He would crawl into tight spaces, handle dangerous materials, and operate heavy tools. Na would be his guide, watching through cameras and sensors, telling him exactly what to do. Move left 3 centimeters, she would say through his earpiece. The damaged coupling is behind the blue panel. Be careful, there is an active power line 2 centimeters above it. Jobs that used to take Ho days now took hours. Problems that seemed impossible became simple when Na analyzed them first. Word began to spread across the frontier stations. There was a human engineer who could fix anything. Ships that had been declared dead flew again. Systems that the best technicians could not repair were made perfect. How does he do it? People asked. No one suspected the truth. No one imagined that the paralyzed woman in the hover chair, the Baron's discarded daughter, was the real genius behind the operation. One night, after a particularly difficult job, Ho made dinner while Na rested in her chair. He had learned what foods she liked now. She loved anything sweet, probably because she had never tasted sweetness until she came to live with him. Can I ask you something personal? Ho said as he fed her small pieces of fruit. You can ask, I may not answer. Why did you warn me that day, when I took you from your father's court? You told me he would make my life difficult. You tried to protect me. Why? Na chewed slowly, thinking. I am not sure, maybe because you bowed to me. No one had ever bowed to me before. They bowed to my father, they bowed to my mother, but never to me. I was invisible. You are not invisible to me. I know that now, she paused. When I was young, I still had hope. I thought maybe someone would notice that I was not stupid. I would try to speak, try to show them my ideas, but they never listened. After 10 years, I stopped trying. I accepted that I would die in that chair, alone and forgotten, having never been truly seen by anyone. Ho set down the food and looked at her directly. And now? Now I have purpose. Now I have someone who listens. Now I have, she struggled with the word, a friend. I did not know what that meant until I met you. Before Ho could respond, an alarm sounded through the ship. He rushed to the communication station and read the incoming message. His face went pale. What is it? Na asked. A distress call, a military vessel. They are experiencing a cascade failure in their main reactor. If it is not stopped, the ship will explode. 3,000 crew members will die. Which ship? Ho read the identification code and felt his stomach drop. The Sovereign Pride. It is the flagship of your father's fleet. My father is on that ship. Yes, he is returning from a diplomatic meeting. The message says all their engineers have failed to stop the cascade. They are requesting any available help. Na's eyes moved to the navigation screens. How far are we? 20 minutes at maximum speed. But the station authority says they cannot send a proper rescue team for at least an hour. The ship will be gone by then. Ho stood frozen, unsure what to do. This was the man who had humiliated them both. The man who had thrown away his own daughter like garbage. Part of Ho wanted to ignore the call and let fate take its course. But 3,000 people were on that ship. 3,000 lives that had nothing to do with the Baron's cruelty. He looked at Na. Her face was unreadable. "If we help him, he will still hate us," she said quietly. "It will not change anything." "I know. 3,000 people will die if we do not go." "I know." Na was silent for a moment. Then she looked at the navigation controls and her eyes began to move rapidly, inputting commands through her interface. "I have plotted the fastest course," she said. "We will arrive in 18 minutes if you push the engines to maximum." Ho smiled despite the situation. "You want to save him?" "No, I want to save the 3,000 innocent people he will take with him if he dies. My father can live with the knowledge that his broken daughter saved his life. That will be punishment enough." Ho ran to the pilot seat and took control. The engines roared as the small ship shot forward into the darkness of space. Behind him, Na was already studying the schematics of military reactors, preparing for the challenge ahead. Whatever waited for them on that dying ship, they would face it together. The sovereign pride was dying. Ho could see it as the steady hand approached. Plasma leaked from cracks in the great ship's hull. Emergency lights flickered along its surface like the heartbeat of a wounded animal. "The Cascade has reached stage 4, Na reported from her chair. Her eyes moved rapidly across the data streams on every screen. "They have maybe 20 minutes before the reactor goes critical." "Can we stop it?" "I do not know yet. I need to see the reactor directly. Their sensor data is not detailed enough." Ho guided his ship to one of the emergency docking ports. The Sovereign Pride was huge compared to his small vessel. It was like a mouse trying to save a whale. As soon as they docked, an officer met them at the airlock. He was tall and wore the uniform of a military commander. His face showed the stress of the situation. "You are the human engineer?" the officer asked. His voice was tired but not hostile. "I am Ho. This is my partner Na." The officer glanced at Na in her hover chair. Recognition flickered in his eyes. Everyone knew the Baron's paralyzed daughter, but the officer said nothing about it. "I am Commander. Our engineers have tried everything. The Cascade is beyond their ability to stop. If you have any ideas, we will try them." "Take us to the reactor," Ho said. Commander led them through the ship's corridors. Crew members rushed past them in controlled panic. Some stopped to stare at the human and the paralyzed woman, but no one had time for questions. The reactor room was chaos. Warning lights flashed red. Alarms screamed. A dozen engineers shouted at each other, trying different solutions that failed one after another. Na's eyes moved across the massive reactor. It was a complex system of energy cores and cooling chambers, far more advanced than anything on Ho's small ship. But complexity did not scare her. "Everyone stop what you are doing," she said. Her voice was not loud, but something in it made everyone freeze. The engineers turned to look at the paralyzed woman in the hover chair. "Who are you to give orders?" one engineer demanded. "I am the person who can see what you cannot," Na replied calmly. "The Cascade did not start in the main core. It started in the secondary cooling system. You have been treating the symptoms, not the cause." "That is impossible. We checked the cooling system first." "You checked the primary cooling system. The secondary system has a hidden fault in Junction 7 Alpha. It has been failing slowly for months. The stress of your recent journey pushed it past the breaking point." Commander stepped forward. "How can you possibly know that?" Because I can see the pattern in the heat distribution. Because I can read the vibration frequencies in the hull. Because I spent the last 18 minutes analyzing every piece of data from this ship. Nuh's eyes met the commander's. You can waste time doubting me, or you can let me save your ship. Choose now. Looked at her for a long moment, then he nodded. What do you need? Nuh began giving instructions through her eye interface, sending diagrams and procedures directly to the engineer's tablets. Ho, I need you in Junction 7 Alpha. It is 3 levels down, Section 12. You will need to manually replace a damaged converter while I balance the reactor output from here. Ho was already moving. Talk me through it. The next 15 minutes were the most intense of his life. Nuh guided him through the ship's narrow maintenance tunnels, around dangerous obstacles, to the hidden junction that no one else had thought to check. She was right. The converter was burned and broken. It was a miracle the whole ship had not exploded days ago. I found it, Ho reported through his earpiece. It is completely destroyed. Can you replace it? I do not have a converter. They are not compatible with human parts. Then we make them compatible. I am sending you instructions now. What followed was an act of engineering that should not have been possible. Nuh guided Ho through modifying one of his own converters to work with the system. It was like making a human heart pump blood. As he worked, Nuh simultaneously managed the reactor from the main room. Her mind held dozens of variables at once, adjusting power flows, cooling rates, and pressure levels. The engineers watched in stunned silence. Converter installed, Ho reported, but it is not syncing with the system. I know. I am adjusting the frequency now. Hold the converter steady for 10 seconds. Ho held his breath. The converter hummed in his hands, getting hotter and hotter. If it failed, the explosion would kill him instantly. Then the humming stopped. The lights on the converter turned green. Connection established, Nuh announced. Beginning cascade reversal. In the reactor room, the warning lights slowly changed from red to orange to yellow. The alarms went quiet one by one. The massive reactor settled into a steady, healthy rhythm. Commander checked the readings and turned to face Nuh. There was wonder in his eyes. You did it. You actually did it. We did it, Nuh corrected. I cannot do anything without my partner's hands. The door to the reactor room opened, and Baron entered. He had clearly been watching from somewhere safe. His face was a complex mix of emotions that Ho could not read. The Baron walked slowly toward his daughter. He had not seen her in almost a month. He had probably hoped to never see her again. How? The Baron asked. His voice was quiet. How did you do this? Nuh looked up at her father. There was no fear in her eyes anymore, no desperate need for approval. I did what I have always been able to do, she said calmly. I used my mind. The mind you decided was worthless. The mind you never bothered to test or train or nurture. I saved your ship and your life using the abilities that were always there if anyone had cared to look. The Baron's 4 hands clenched into fists. His pride was at war with the truth he could no longer deny. His broken daughter had succeeded where his best engineers had failed, in front of his entire crew. I did not know, he said slowly. No one told me you could do these things. No one knew because no one asked. Nuh's voice was steady. I spent 20 years in that chair, watching, learning, remembering everything. And not once did you speak to me like a person. Not once did you look at me and wonder if there was something more. The Baron had no response. For the first time in his life, he had nothing to say. Ho appeared at the door, covered in grease and sweat. He walked to Nuh's side and put a hand on her shoulder. We should go, he said gently. The ship is stable now. They do not need us anymore. Nuh nodded. She looked at her father one last time. I do not need your approval anymore, she said. I do not need your love. You had 20 years to give me those things and you chose not to. That is your loss, not mine. Goodbye, father. Ho pushed her chair toward the exit. Commander stepped aside to let them pass, then followed them to the docking port. "Thank you," said as they prepared to leave. "I will not forget what you did today, either of you." "Just take care of your crew," Ho said. "That is all the thanks we need." As the steady hand disconnected from the dying ship that was now saved, Na was quiet. Ho did not push her to speak. Some moments needed silence. Finally, as they moved away from the Sovereign Pride, she spoke. "I thought I would feel different. I thought confronting him would fill some empty space inside me. And it did not, but I do not mind. I realized the empty space was already filled. It was filled the day you bowed to me and asked what kind of food I liked." Ho smiled. "Then let us go home. I will make you something sweet." Behind them, the Sovereign Pride grew smaller in the darkness. And 3,000 lived because a human and a paralyzed woman had seen past hatred to do what was right. The message came 2 weeks after they saved the Sovereign Pride. Ho was eating breakfast when the official communication arrived, marked with the seal of the Empire. "What does it say?" Na asked from her chair nearby. Ho read it twice, his face growing darker with each word. "Your father has filed charges against me. He says I stole military secrets from his ship. He says you were planted with me as a spy to gather information." "That is insane. We saved his ship." "He knows that. Everyone knows that. But he cannot accept what happened. He cannot live with the shame of being rescued by his broken daughter. So he has created a story that makes him the victim." Na was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was hard. "He would rather see us dead than admit he was wrong about me. The order demands we surrender to authorities for trial. If we refuse, we become criminals. Any ship can hunt us down for reward." "Can we run?" "We can try, but his reach is long and his credits are many." Before they could discuss further, another message arrived. This one was from their friend Park So, a human ship captain who Ho had served with during his military days. Her face appeared on the screen, sharp and serious. "Ho, I heard about the charges. It is nonsense and everyone knows it. I am bringing my ship to your position. We need to talk about options. So, you will get in trouble if you help us. I stopped worrying about trouble a long time ago. Hold your position. I will be there in 6 hours." The screen went dark. Ho rubbed his tired eyes. "You have loyal friends," Na observed. "I saved So's life once. She never forgot. Humans remember kindness. My people remember insults. Perhaps that is why you are better than us." "We are not better, we are just different." When Park So arrived, she brought news and a plan. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. Her ship, the Iron Will, was larger than Ho's and carried a crew of 30 humans and aliens. "The charge is falling apart," So explained as they sat in the steady hand's small meeting area. "Commander has publicly questioned the Baron's story. He says you were heroes who saved 3,000 lives. Other officers are agreeing with him." "But my father has powerful friends," Na said. "He can make the truth disappear." "That is the problem. This is becoming a diplomatic incident. Other species are watching to see how they treat humans. If they execute Ho on false charges, it could damage relations across the sector." Another communication arrived. This time it was Juan, a human doctor stationed at a frontier medical outpost. He appeared on the screen looking worried but determined. "I heard what is happening," Juan said. "I treated Na when you first brought her in for examination, remember? I have her complete medical records. I can testify that she has extraordinary cognitive abilities. That proves she is not a spy but a genuine partner." "You would do that?" Na asked. "You would stand against a baron?" "I would stand for the truth. That is what doctors do." More messages came throughout the day. Engineers who Ho had helped over the years. Ship captains who had heard of his reputation. even some who had witnessed the rescue and could not stay silent. "You have more allies than you realized," So said with a small smile. But the Baron was not finished. That evening, Na received a private communication on a frequency she had not used in years, a family frequency. Lady, her mother, appeared on the screen. She was beautiful in the cold way, but her eyes were different, softer, sadder. "Mother," Na said carefully, "this is unexpected." "I know you have no reason to trust me," Lady said quickly. "I did not protect you when I should have. I let your father treat you like nothing and I said nothing. That shame will follow me forever." "Then why contact me now?" "Because he is planning something worse. The charges are not working. Too many people are speaking against him, so he has decided to take direct action. He is sending his personal guard to capture you both. He says it is to bring you to trial, but—" Lady's voice cracked. "I heard him talking to his captain. He does not plan to bring you back alive. He would murder his own daughter. You stopped being his daughter the moment you showed him up on his own ship. Now you are just a threat to his reputation, and threats must be removed." Na processed this information with the same calm she used for complex equations. "When are they coming?" "They launched an hour ago. You have maybe 4 hours before they arrive. Please, Na, run. I know I have no right to ask you to forgive me, but please let me help you escape. Let me do one good thing for you before I die." "You are dying." "I have been sick for a while. Your father does not know. I did not want to give him the satisfaction of watching me weaken." Lady smiled sadly. "It seems we both learned to hide things from him." The communication ended. Na stared at the blank screen. "What do we do?" Ho asked. "We cannot run. His ships are faster than ours. He will catch us eventually." "Then we fight." "With what? We have a small cargo ship. He is sending trained warriors." So stepped forward. "You have my ship and my crew. That changes the odds." "It is not enough," Na said. But her eyes were moving rapidly, the way they did when she was thinking hard about a problem. "However, there may be another way." She turned her hover chair toward the main computer terminal. "Mother said the charges are failing because people are speaking against my father. What if we gave them more ammunition? What if we released information that made it impossible for anyone to support him?" "What kind of information?" "I spent 20 years in his house, watching, listening, remembering everything. I know where his secrets are buried. I know about the bribes he paid, the deals he made, the crimes he covered up. I never said anything because I had no way to use it, but now I do." Na began pulling files from her memory, dictating them to the computer through her eye interface. Names, dates, amounts, locations. A lifetime of corruption recorded in perfect detail. "This will destroy him," Ho said quietly. "He tried to destroy me first. He tried to destroy us. I am simply defending myself with the only weapon I have ever had, my mind." The information was sent to every news outlet, every political office, every military commander in the sector. Within an hour, the responses began pouring in. Shock, outrage, demands for investigation. But it was too late to stop what the Baron had already set in motion. The attack came faster than expected. 3 sleek assault ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and immediately opened fire on the steady hand. Ho grabbed the controls as the ship shook from impact. "They are trying to disable our engines." "So ship is engaging them," Na reported, watching the tactical display. "But she cannot hold all 3. Another explosion rocked the ship. Warning alarms screamed. The lights flickered and died. "We have lost main power," Ho said. "Life support is on backup. We have maybe 30 minutes of air." Another hit. This time Ho was thrown from his seat. His head struck the console and everything went dark. When his vision cleared, he saw Na looking at him with fear in her eyes. He tried to stand, but his body would not cooperate. "Ho, you are hurt. Do not move." "The ship." I know. For the first time since he had known her, Na sounded scared. I cannot. I cannot do anything. I cannot help you. I cannot fly the ship. I cannot. She stopped. She took a breath, and then the fear in her eyes was replaced by something else. Determination. Actually, she said slowly, I can do something. I can do everything. I just need to believe I can. Her eyes turned to the damaged control systems. Her interface still worked. The ship's secondary computer still had power, and her mind, her incredible mind, was still the most powerful tool she possessed. It was time to find out just how powerful that tool could be. Na had never been so afraid in her life. The ship was failing. Ho was unconscious and bleeding. 3 enemy vessels were circling like predators waiting to finish their prey. And she could not move a single muscle below her neck. For a moment the old hopelessness threatened to swallow her. She was useless. She was broken. She could not even crawl across the floor to check if her friend was still breathing. Then she heard Ho's voice in her memory, words from their first night together. I need a good partner, and you are the person I have ever met. He had never seen her as broken. He had seen her as capable, powerful, worth something. Na took a deep breath and looked at the damaged control systems with new eyes. The main computer was dead, but the secondary systems still had power. Life support was failing, but the engine core was intact. The communication array was damaged but not destroyed. Her interface still tracked her eye movements. She still had control of everything she could see. And right now, she could see everything. Okay, she whispered to herself, let us begin. Her eyes moved rapidly across the screens, inputting commands faster than she had ever done before. She was not just controlling the ship anymore. She was becoming the ship. Every sensor was her eyes. Every microphone was her ears. Every thruster was her limb. First, she needed power. The main generator was offline, but there were emergency batteries scattered throughout the ship. They were not meant to work together, but none knew every circuit and connection in the steady hand. She had spent months studying its systems. She linked the batteries one by one, creating a network that could provide just enough power for what she needed. The lights flickered back on, not bright but enough. Next, she needed to stop the bleeding. The ship had a medical drone for emergencies. It was small, designed for minor injuries, but it was better than nothing. She activated the drone and guided it to Ho's unconscious body. Through its camera, she could see the wound on his head. It was not as bad as she had feared. The drone applied pressure and bandages. His vital signs stabilized. Stay with me, Ho, she said softly. I'm not done saving you yet. Outside, the battle continued. So ship, the Iron Will, was holding off 2 of the attackers, but the 3rd vessel was moving into position for a killing shot on the steady hand. Na had no weapons, but she had engines and she had an idea. She activated the thrusters in a pattern no pilot would ever use. The ship spun wildly, erratically, unpredictably. To the attacking pilot, it must have looked like the ship was out of control, tumbling toward destruction. But Na controlled every movement. She was calculating trajectories and thrust vectors in her head, adjusting for mass distribution and momentum. The spin brought the steady hand around so its most damaged sections faced away from the attacker. The enemy pilot hesitated, confused by the strange movements. That hesitation gave So an opening. Her ship dove in and disabled the 3rd attacker with precise weapons fire. Na, So's voice came through the damaged communication system, crackling with static. Are you controlling that ship? Yes, is the immediate threat over? For now, but 2 of them are regrouping. We need to get out of here. I am working on it. Na ran calculations in her head. The ship's faster-than-light drive was intact, but it needed more power than her improvised battery network could provide. She needed the main generator back online. The problem was physical damage. A power coupling had been torn loose by the attack. Someone would need to reconnect it manually. Someone would need to use their hands. Na looked at Ho. He was still unconscious. Even if she woke him, he was too injured to crawl through the maintenance tunnels. She looked at her own useless arms, lying motionless in her lap. Then she looked at the maintenance drone. It was designed for repairs, not medical work. It had manipulator arms. It could hold tools. And she could control it with her eyes. "This is crazy," she said to herself. "This is absolutely crazy." She activated the maintenance drone and sent it toward the engine room. Through its camera, she navigated the damaged corridors, around debris and sparking wires. The drone's manipulator arms were clumsy compared to human hands, but they could grip and turn and pull. The damaged power coupling was exactly where she had calculated it would be. The drone moved into position. Connecting the coupling required precise movements. Na had to guide the manipulator arms with nothing but eye movements, watching through a tiny camera screen while also monitoring the ship systems and tracking the enemy vessels outside. Her mind split into a dozen streams of thought, each one handling a different task. It was exhausting. It was impossible. It was exactly what she had trained her brain to do for 20 years. The coupling clicked into place. Power flowed back to the main generator. Faster-than-light drive is online, now announced through the communication system. All ships prepare to jump. "You did it," So said with amazement in her voice. "How did you do it?" "I will explain later. Right now, follow my coordinates. We need to reach central space." "Are you insane? That is where the Baron's allies are. That is also where the authorities are. And right now, those authorities are very interested in the information I just sent them about my father." The ships jumped together, vanishing from the battlefield in flashes of light. They emerged near the main judicial station, where imperial courts handled serious crimes. Several military vessels were already waiting, but they were not pointing their weapons at Ho's ship. They were pointing their weapons at Baron's fleet. Commander appeared on the communication screen. He looked tired but satisfied. "Baron has been placed under arrest. The evidence you provided, combined with his illegal attack on your vessel, gave us everything we needed. His allies are abandoning him as we speak." "What about the charges against Ho?" Na asked. "Dropped. Officially, he is now considered a hero who saved a flagship. The Empire owes him a debt." "And what about me?" Paused. "The Scientific Council wants to meet with you. They have reviewed your actions today, flying a damaged ship using only a maintenance drone and eye-tracking interface. They say it should not be possible. They want to understand how your mind works." "Do I have a choice?" "You always have a choice, but they are offering you a position as a strategic advisor, full citizenship in the Empire, resources to help others with similar conditions." Na considered this. It was everything she had ever wanted: recognition, purpose, a chance to help people like herself. But she looked at Ho, who was finally starting to wake up, and she already knew her answer. "I will meet with them," she said. "But I have one condition. I continue working with my partner. Where he goes, I go." "That can be arranged." Ho's eyes opened. He looked around in confusion, then focused on Na. "What happened?" he asked weakly. "You got hurt. I saved us. The Baron is in prison. I got offered a job. I was unconscious for 10 minutes and I missed all that." "You were unconscious for 3 hours. I have been very busy." Ho laughed, then winced from the pain. "I always knew you were the real talent in this partnership." 6 months later, the Steady Hand was no longer a small cargo ship. It had been upgraded, expanded, and equipped with the latest technology. Na had a new interface that let her control systems with even greater precision. Ho had a team of engineers who worked under his guidance. Together, they had become famous across the sector. The paralyzed woman and the human engineer who had seen her potential. They solved impossible problems. They helped species who had nowhere else to turn. One evening, they received a communication from the Galactic Council itself, a formal job offer for both of them. Advisors to the Council, Ho read aloud. That is, big. We would have to move to the capital, Na said. Leave the steady hand. We could always come back. Could we? Ho was quiet for a moment, then he smiled. Remember the first night you came to live with me? I asked if you were hungry. You said you had only ever eaten nutrient paste, and I made you Korean food. I remember, it was the best thing I had ever tasted. I was just a small engineer with a small ship. You were a paralyzed woman everyone thought was worthless. Look at us now. Look at us now, Na repeated softly. I do not care about the Galactic Council. I do not care about fame or politics or power. I care about this ship. I care about doing good work. And I care about you. Na felt tears forming in her eyes. She had spent 20 years learning not to cry. I care about you too, she said. You were the first person who ever saw me, the real me. I will never forget that. So we stay. We stay. The galaxy can find us if it needs us. We have work to do. Ho smiled and began preparing dinner. Outside the ship's windows, stars stretched into infinity. And somewhere out there, people with impossible problems were waiting to be helped. They would be ready.